The Ural Mountains, February 1959. A group of 9 experienced hikers embarked on an adventure. Their destination, Otorten Mountain, translated as "Don't Go There" in the local Mansi language. This expedition, led by the charismatic Igor Dyatlov, would become a chilling tale of mystery and speculation, forever known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. What began as a routine trek through the icy wilderness of the Soviet Union transformed into an enduring enigma that continues to baffle investigators and ignite imaginations to this day. The hikers, students, and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute were well prepared for the challenging conditions. They were experienced skiers, familiar with the terrain, and carried adequate supplies for their journey. Their goal was to reach Otorten, a peak shrouded in local folklore and considered sacred by the indigenous Mansi people. The group's journey was meticulously documented in journals and photographs, providing a glimpse into their adventure, at least until their last campsite was discovered. The hikers' disappearance went unnoticed for weeks, the harsh winter conditions delaying any search efforts. It wasn't until their families raised concerns that a rescue mission was launched, hoping to find the group stranded but alive. What the search party found, however, was far more unsettling than anyone could have anticipated. The Dyatlov Pass incident was not a simple case of hikers succumbing to the elements. It was a descent into a chilling mystery that defied easy explanation. The discovery of the hikers' tent sent chills down the spines of the search party. It was found cut open from the inside, as if the occupants had fled in a desperate panic. Personal belongings, including shoes and warm clothing, were left behind, suggesting a hasty and unplanned evacuation. This detail immediately raised red flags. Why would experienced hikers abandon their shelter in the middle of a freezing night, ill-equipped to survive the harsh conditions? The scene inside the tent only deepened the mystery. The hikers' belongings were scattered around the campsite, some partially buried in the snow. Footprints leading away from the tent indicated that the group had fled on foot, seemingly in different directions. However, the footprints were made by people either barefoot or wearing only socks, a baffling decision given the sub-zero temperatures. The search party followed the trail of footprints, their unease growing with each passing moment. The scene suggested a chaotic and terrifying flight from an unknown threat, leaving more questions than answers in its wake. The first bodies were found a considerable distance from the tent, lying under a cedar tree. They were partially dressed and showed signs of hypothermia, suggesting they had succumbed to the elements while seeking shelter. But as more bodies were recovered in the following weeks and months, a more disturbing picture began to emerge. The injuries sustained by some of the hikers were inconsistent with a simple case of hypothermia or a fall. The Dyatlov Pass incident was quickly escalating from a tragic accident to a perplexing enigma. The autopsies revealed baffling injuries. Some victims had severe internal injuries, including fractured ribs and skulls, yet no external trauma. Investigators described these injuries as consistent with a car crash, a bewildering finding given the remote location. Adding to the strangeness, some victims' clothing tested positive for high levels of radiation. Perplexingly, some bodies had a detached tongue and eyes. These injuries, combined with the lack of external wounds, fueled speculation about the cause of death. Some speculated a wild animal attack, but there were no signs of animal tracks. Others suggested an avalanche, but the terrain and body positions didn't support this theory. The lack of conclusive evidence deepened the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass incident. The strange injuries, missing clothing, and tent ripped from the inside created a puzzle investigators struggled to solve. The official investigation concluded the hikers died from a compelling natural force, a vague explanation that fueled speculation. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a chilling reminder of the unknown, a testament to the mysteries in familiar landscapes. The lack of a definitive explanation for what happened has spawned countless theories over the decades. Some explanations focus on natural phenomena. One theory suggests that a rare weather phenomenon known as infrasound could have been responsible. Infrasound, a low-frequency sound wave undetectable to the human ear, can cause feelings of panic and disorientation. It's possible that infrasound generated by wind patterns over the mountain could have induced a state of terror in the hikers. Another theory proposes that the hikers were victims of a katabatic wind, a powerful and unpredictable wind that can rush down mountainsides. Such a wind could explain the severe injuries sustained by some of the hikers. Other theories venture into the realm of the paranormal and the unexplained. Some believe the hikers stumbled upon a secret military testing ground. Still, others propose that extraterrestrial activity may have played a role. These theories highlight the enduring fascination with the Dyatlov Pass incident. Borley Rectory. A name whispered with fear and fascination. This imposing Victorian rectory, nestled in the rural village of Borley, Essex, held a sinister reputation. Built in 1863 on the very grounds of a much older monastery, it was a place steeped in history. But it wasn't the architectural grandeur that drew attention. It was the darkness that clung to the house, the chilling tales that painted it as the most haunted house in England. From the moment of its construction, strange occurrences plagued the rectory. Footsteps echoed in empty hallways. Disembodied voices whispered in the dead of night. Objects moved mysteriously, as if guided by an unseen hand. These unsettling events, whispered amongst the villagers, soon transformed into chilling legends. It was a house that breathed fear, a place where the veil between our world and the next seemed perilously thin. One particular legend cast a long, dark shadow over Borley Rectory, the tale of the Nun's Walk. It was said that centuries ago, a young nun from the nearby monastery fell deeply in love with a monk. Their forbidden love, a transgression against their sacred vows, was soon discovered. The punishment was swift and brutal. The monk was hanged for his transgression, his body left to rot within the monastery walls. The nun, deemed equally guilty, faced a crueler fate. Bricked up alive within the walls of the monastery, her anguished cries were ignored. Her restless spirit, bound to the grounds, became a malevolent presence. It was her spectral figure, forever searching for her lost love, that haunted the rectory's grounds. In 1929, the Reverend Lionel Foyster and his wife Marianne moved into Borley Rectory. Unaware of the chilling tales, they quickly became victims of the house's dark energies. Objects flew across rooms with alarming force. Unexplained writing appeared on walls, messages seemingly scrawled by unseen hands. Marianne, particularly affected by the supernatural onslaught, reported seeing a phantom coach driven by a headless horseman. She felt a constant oppressive presence within the house, a feeling shared by many visitors. The Foysters, overwhelmed by the relentless paranormal activity, fled the rectory after just 4 terrifying years. Intrigued by the tales, renowned paranormal investigator Harry Price arrived at Borley Rectory in 1937. His arrival marked a turning point in the rectory's haunted history. Price, armed with his investigative tools and a keen sense of the paranormal, documented a plethora of unexplained phenomena. He recorded phantom footsteps, seances with seemingly intelligent entities, and even captured images of spectral figures on camera. His meticulous documentation, published in his book The Most Haunted House in England, cemented Borley Rectory's place in paranormal history. Yet, despite his thorough investigation, Price couldn't provide definitive answers. The haunting of Borley Rectory reached a dramatic climax in 1939. A devastating fire, fueled by unexplained means, ripped through the ancient structure. Many believed it was the final act of a vengeful spirit, a release of pent-up energy. Yet even the flames couldn't erase the haunting. Even in ruins, Borley Rectory continued to draw those seeking a glimpse into the supernatural realm. Visitors reported seeing the ghostly figure of the nun gliding through the overgrown gardens. Others claimed to hear the phantom sound of a phantom coach, its wheels crunching on unseen gravel. The destruction of the physical building did little to diminish the haunting. If anything, it seemed to amplify the paranormal activity, solidifying Borley Rectory's place in the annals of haunted history. The ruins of Borley Rectory were finally demolished in 1944. Yet, the legend of the house and its spectral residents continues to fascinate and frighten. Was Borley Rectory truly a conduit to another realm, a place where the veil between life and death thinned? Or were the hauntings elaborate hoaxes, fueled by fear and imagination? The answer, much like the spectral nun forever searching for her lost love, remains elusive. Borley Rectory stands as a testament to the enduring power of belief. It reminds us that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but rather experienced, pondered, and passed down through generations, ensuring that the legend of England's most haunted house lives on. The year was 1966. A small town, Point Pleasant, nestled in West Virginia, became an epicenter of bizarre and unsettling events. It began with whispers, tales whispered from neighbor to neighbor. Something strange was lurking in the shadows, something terrifying. People reported seeing a large, winged creature with glowing red eyes. The residents of Point Pleasant were gripped by fear. This was no ordinary creature. This was something unknown, something otherworldly. The sightings continued, each more unsettling than the last. The town held its breath, caught in the grip of an enigma that defied explanation. The creature became known as the Mothman. Witnesses described the Mothman as a terrifying sight, a creature that haunted their dreams and waking moments alike. It was huge, standing over 7 feet tall, towering over anyone who dared to come close. Its wingspan was enormous, stretching over 10 feet, casting a dark shadow that seemed to envelop the night itself. But it was the eyes that truly instilled fear, eyes that seemed to burn with an otherworldly fire. They glowed a menacing red, piercing the darkness with an unnatural intensity, as if they could see into your very soul. Some claimed it moved with unnatural speed and agility, darting through the trees like a phantom. Its large wings made no sound as it swooped low over the terrified townsfolk, a silent predator in the night. Animals were spooked, their usual nighttime sounds replaced by an unnerving silence, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. The very air seemed thick with dread, heavy with the unspoken fear that something terrible was about to happen, a palpable tension that gripped the town. The stories spread, carried on the wind to neighboring towns, each retelling more chilling than the last. The legend of the Mothman was born, a tale that would be whispered in hushed tones for generations to come. As quickly as it began, the Mothman sighting stopped. Just as the town began to breathe again, tragedy struck. On December 15, 1967, the Silver Bridge, connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio, collapsed into the icy waters of the Ohio River. 46 people lost their lives that day. The town was devastated. Whispers of the Mothman resurfaced. Some claimed to have seen the creature near the bridge in the days leading up to the collapse. Was it a harbinger of doom, a supernatural entity drawn to tragedy, or was it merely a coincidence, a cruel twist of fate? The events of 1966 and 1967 left an indelible mark on Point Pleasant, a small town that would never be the same again. The legend of the Mothman refused to die, persisting in the collective memory of the town's residents and beyond. It became ingrained in the town's identity, a symbol of mystery and intrigue that drew people in. Books were written, exploring the sightings and the bridge collapse, delving into the eerie events that surrounded the Mothman. Movies and documentaries brought the tale to life, captivating audiences with the mystery and horror of the Mothman, making it a staple in horror culture. Point Pleasant became a destination for those seeking answers, a place where the curious could explore the legend firsthand. Tourists flocked to the town, eager to learn about the creature that haunted its past, turning Point Pleasant into a hub of paranormal tourism. The Mothman became a cultural phenomenon, its image appearing on t-shirts, mugs, and even tattoos, cementing its place in popular culture. The Mothman of Point Pleasant continues to fascinate and frighten, capturing the imaginations of those who hear its tale. Was it a real creature, a harbinger of doom, or perhaps something even more mysterious, or simply a case of mass hysteria? The answers remain elusive, shrouded in the mists of time and fear. But one thing is certain: the legend of the Mothman will continue to captivate and intrigue for generations to come. The stories continue to be told, passed down through the years. Some say the creature still lurks in the shadows, a silent guardian, a watchful omen, ever present in the dark corners of the town. Perhaps one day the truth will be revealed, lifting the veil of mystery that has long surrounded the Mothman. Until then, the legend of the Mothman will continue to cast its shadow over the town of Point Pleasant, a story that refuses to fade away. Amityville, Long Island, 1974. A year that would forever change the quiet town. A seemingly peaceful community is about to be shaken to its core. The tranquility of this suburban neighborhood would soon be shattered by an unimaginable horror. The large Dutch colonial house at 112 Ocean Avenue, with its distinctive quarter-moon windows, would become synonymous with horror. Its picturesque facade hid a dark secret that would soon be revealed to the world. On a chilly November night, tragedy struck the DeFeo family. The peaceful silence of the night was broken by the sound of gunshots. 6 lives were brutally cut short in a crime that shocked the nation. The DeFeo family, once a symbol of suburban bliss, was now the center of a gruesome murder investigation. Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest son, stood accused of the murders. His face, once familiar to neighbors, now became infamous across the country. His parents and 4 siblings lay dead in their beds. The scene was one of unimaginable horror, with no signs of struggle, only the eerie stillness of death. The weapon? A .35 caliber rifle, a tool of destruction that turned a family home into a crime scene. DeFeo's trial became a media spectacle. The courtroom was packed, and the nation watched as the details of the horrific night were laid bare. He claimed voices in the house had compelled him to commit the heinous acts. These voices, he said, drove him to madness and murder. Despite his defense, DeFeo was found guilty and sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms. Justice was served, but the questions remained. The murders cast a long shadow over 112 Ocean Avenue. The house, once a home, now stood as a symbol of terror and tragedy. The house stood empty, a grim reminder of the horrific events that had transpired within its walls. It became a place of fear, avoided by the locals and shrouded in mystery. Little did anyone know, this was only the beginning of the Amityville saga. The house would soon become the center of even more chilling tales. A tale of terror was about to unfold, one that would grip the public's imagination for decades to come. The story of the DeFeo murders was just the first chapter in a much larger narrative. The stage was set for the next chapter, a chapter that would question the very nature of reality itself. The Amityville Horror was about to begin, and the world would never be the same. December 1975. The air was crisp, and the holiday season was in full swing. Just over a year after the DeFeo murders, a new family moved into 112 Ocean Avenue, hoping to leave their past behind. George and Kathy Lutz, along with Kathy's 3 children, were seeking a fresh start. They were excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. They were aware of the house's history but dismissed it as irrelevant. To them, it was just a house, a place to build new memories. After all, they had found their dream home at a bargain price. It was an opportunity they couldn't pass up. The Lutz family seemed unfazed by the home's dark past. They were determined to make it their own. They were filled with the optimism of new beginnings, believing that love and laughter could conquer any darkness. Little did they know, the house had other plans. It was as if the very walls were waiting for them. As soon as they crossed the threshold, a sense of unease settled upon them. It was subtle at first, a mere whisper of discomfort. The air grew heavy, charged with an unseen energy. It was as if the house itself was breathing, watching. Unbeknownst to the Lutz family, they had stepped into a nightmare. The house was more than just a structure. It was a living entity. The family pressed on, attributing the strange atmosphere to their new surroundings. They tried to ignore the growing sense of dread. They unpacked boxes, arranged furniture, and tried to make the house their own. Each room was filled with their hopes and dreams. But something was different about this house. It was as if it had a soul, a dark and twisted soul. It felt alive, as if it were watching their every move. The feeling of being observed was inescapable. The walls seemed to whisper secrets of the horrors they had witnessed. The past was not ready to be forgotten. The true terror of 112 Ocean Avenue was about to reveal itself. The Lutz family was about to face an unimaginable horror. The Lutz family's optimism began to wane as strange occurrences plagued their days and nights. The once peaceful home had turned into a place of dread and fear. At first, the incidents were subtle, easily dismissed as tricks of the mind. A misplaced item here, a strange noise there. Foul odors like rotting flesh permeated the air. The smell was so intense that it made their eyes water and their stomachs churn. The stench was overpowering, clinging to their clothes and hair. No amount of cleaning or airing out the house seemed to help. Then came the cold spots. These weren't just drafts. They were bone-chilling pockets of air that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Pockets of freezing air materialized throughout the house, defying the warmth of the central heating. It was as if the house itself was breathing cold air. These icy drafts sent shivers down their spines, raising goosebumps on their skin. The family found themselves constantly on edge, never knowing when the next chill would hit. Doors slammed shut on their own, as if moved by an unseen hand. The loud bangs echoed through the house, startling everyone. The family's unease grew with each passing day. They huddled together, seeking comfort in each other's presence, but the fear was palpable. Whispers and disembodied voices echoed through the house, whispering their names in the dead of night. The voices seemed to come from the walls themselves. Footsteps creaked on the stairs when no one was around. The sound was unmistakable, as if someone was walking up and down the stairs, but no one was there. The children, especially young Missy Lutz, claimed to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their eyes. These figures seemed to move just out of sight, always watching. The house was coming alive, but not in a way anyone could have anticipated. It was as if the very walls were closing in on them, suffocating them with fear. The family ultimately fled after only 28 days, convinced the house was haunted. The Amityville case became a sensation, spawning books and movies, although the truth of the haunting has been debated. Regardless, it remains one of America's most famous ghost stories.